Hey guys, I've got a lot of books to show you that I've been slowly getting over time. Some of these I have already shared on Instagram, so if you've seen them there, they'll be old news to you. But there's a couple of different themes basically that I'm working on right now. So the first one is books that are relating to Parzival, which is an 11th grade Waldorf title that is taught in 11th grade. And one of my friends who has studied this much more in depth than I have recommended this book by David Sloan. He is a Waldorf teacher and he actually offers a class in Parzival online. So she recommended getting this book by him. And I'm basically trying to build a course around the morality, like focusing on the development of the soul. But I also wanted to incorporate Russian literature. So this was kind of what I was working on before because we're also doing Dante and Paradise Lost, which I've talked about before. So how do you incorporate all of these things into like a year-long course of study? So this is the first book, Life Lessons, and I've got a weird tripod today, so apologies for that. And I'll show you, I don't think I've shown you guys this before, so I'll show you the table of contents. And I did order these books through Amazon. The reason for that is twofold. Well, the main reason is because I had ordered a book from a Waldorf seller and it did not ever arrive. And I let them know, and they said, "Oh, sorry, it says delivered." They didn't offer me a refund. They didn't send me a book. So I paid $35 just for the book, not including shipping, never received anything. And that was actually also a birthday present. So I'm protecting myself and I'm only going to be ordering through Amazon because they always make it right. I am continuing to buy digital content from that seller because I don't know why, because it's good content and, I understand their position, but I will not ever be buying print from them again. And I will not be name dropping them because I'm not trying to have negativity on my channel. Anyway, so these books are all on Amazon was the point of that. So then we have next Adolescence, the Sacred Passage. So this is by Betty Staley. And she is explaining how Parzival relates to adolescence, and I apologize if I've already shown you guys these things, but I'm trying to show you them in context, so it's not necessarily a bad thing if I have shown them before. So that again is relating to Parzival. This one I think just arrived, and it talks about the different characters in there. And so this is the one that I think is really good as the teacher to know like what is going on. And then my friend showed me in person that there's a Parzival. And again, Amazon had sent me a copy of this that was a disaster. So then they sent me a replacement and I returned the original. So here you can see this is basically like a more explained version by Kovacs for the teacher, but I'm trying to figure out if I want to use this as teaching material because it's more like concentrated versus reading the whole book. And then this is a why Parzival. This is a huge book. So I started reading this, and this breaks down like what the book is, and it gives you information about each of the books within Parzival, which if you're not familiar, it's like a 12th or 13th century epic poem type thing. It's like a quest for the Grail in essence, and it has Sir Gawain actually, which was really interesting to me because Memoria Press assigns that in 9th grade, and we didn't get the memo, didn't do that on time. But I thought, wow, that would be so interesting if you already read Sir Gawain in the Green Knight, and then now, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and then now you're reading it in the context of Parzival. So anyway, this is like the why we're doing it thing also. And then I don't have my copy of Parzival itself that I ordered from some Waldorf sellers, so I'll have to show that in the future. And then the other thing that I've been trying to incorporate, which you know if you've watched a couple of my other videos, is like the concept of Russian studies. So I've shown this before. It's by Betty Staley, and it's about teaching a unit on Russian literature in senior year. However, we've already done some Russian literature. My husband's Russian. I felt compelled to incorporate a lot of Russian literature in our studies. So I am continuing to read through this, but I want to incorporate Russian literature this year. So This is the book. Again, I'm not sure if I've shared it on here. I reached out to a professor at, I think, Middlebury College, and she said that this is what they use. So this doesn't have any of the Russian literature in it. This is like a how, like, what does Russian literature teach you type of a thing. So let me show you the table of contents. Again, sorry for the weird angle, but I have my small tripod today. So at some point I would love to read this, but I'm focusing really on like a dedicated year of Russian literature next year. But for this year, I want to incorporate various Russian authors through the central theme, which I've already told you is kind of morality. But I was reading that, and I don't have this book with me. Fathers and Sons by Turgenev was considered the invention of Russian nihilism, Nihilism, which is usually attributed to Nietzsche, Nietzsche. Probably spelled that wrong because I'm not looking at it, like when you're writing something by hand and seeing it versus just off the top of your head. So anyway, there's this theme, and if you've seen Fiddler on the Roof, this is, I think Misha is the character who embodies this, the one that ends up getting sent to Siberian labor camp for his communist and other ideals. Basically, it's like a focus on materialism and like what is the point of life and stuff like that, and everything is relative. There's no absolute morality, things like that. So one of these Russian authors, he wrote the book Fathers and Sons. One of the characters is credited with the sense of Russian nihilism. And so I thought, oh, that's interesting. I could do a comparison of, or a development of looking at morality from the time of Dante, which is with Inferno and those things, and move forward through time with these classic books and Russian literature. So that's kind of what I'm working with right now. And so here's some of the books that I'm considering. We have the picture of Dorian Gray. By the way, these thrift editions are much more affordable. This was like $3 or $4. So if you haven't read this book, it's kind of similar theme to Narcissus, the myth of Narcissus, but not exactly the same. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a great book. Not too challenging of a read, and it's Oscar Wilde, which is great. If you are a Christian homeschooler, he has also written fairy tales based on Christian ideals, I think. So you could dig further into that. Here's the back of it. Anyway, so this is an AP English title, if you're interested in knowing that. Then we have Heart of Darkness, and the way that I found this was I was looking at a couple of different books, Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury and The Messenger by Lois Lowry, which have similar themes of this carnival coming to town and it causing this havoc to these different people. And while I was looking through those, this came onto my radar. That I've also read this one. This is another AP English literature book, which is usually senior year. And so for me, the lens is like you have someone that's in the jungle and they are, let's say, not being watched by normal society. They are outside of their typical societal framework. How does that affect their behavior? And so the essence of what I'm trying to get at is like the morality of the person and their soul development. I don't know how to explain this. I hope you guys understand what I mean. Anyway, so this is a good one, not too long. There's a movie made about it called Apocalypse Now. I haven't watched that in ages. I would have to preview it before showing it because it's very gory. Also, if you look on Wikipedia about this book and what it was about, what is called the Berlin Conference, where they all met and decided to carve up the continent. I believe this book was written after that or in connection to that, or I don't know. This is the back of it. If you have not heard of it before, it's somehow related to that, I think. Then we have Fyodor Dostoevsky, The Idiot. So I got this one because The Idiot is an archetypal character in literature, particularly Russian literature, and Betty Staley talks about this in Splinters of the Sun. So I thought that this would make a good addition. And it's basically like in these books, the idiot, everyone thinks that they're so stupid, but they actually have in some cases, the correct moral compass, or they're saying things that are true. And whereas these non-idiots, these, smarter people or whatever, are actually not doing the right thing or not having the right perspective or what have you. So that is why I'm looking at this one. And then I got Great Russian Short Stories. I was hoping this would have Chekhov. I think it has Chekhov in it. And it's got Pushkin. So it actually has no Chekhov, but it has Pushkin and Gogol and Turgenev and Dostoevsky. Oh, it does have Chekhov, and Gorky. So these are all very well established, obviously, Russian authors. And I will have to do more research about which ones I'll assign or if we do the whole thing. Because again, just because I'm getting this doesn't mean we'll read it cover to cover. Next, I think I've shown this one before. This is the Russian Book of Poetry. So I had got this because I was thinking we could do this as like a family. But I might just have this for next year. I don't know. This is just a book that I was quite interested in. And here you can see the authors. I just wanted to have one book that had everything in it. And this looked like a good one. And the comments said they're like okay translations. And then we have Gogol, Dead Souls. I'm pretty sure I've showed this one before. So here's what this one is about. Oh, yeah. And so this is very similar to Something Wicked This Way Comes and Messenger by Lois Lowry. Similar concept. And I thought that it would be a good, either just for Russian literature or for this morality thing I'm trying to do. And so that is pretty much everything that I'm going to be using. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing the world literature or not. If you saw that video, I'm kind of trying to figure things out exactly how I want them to be, which is, an evolving process. Because this is my first time doing 11th grade. So we'll figure that out and see how things progress. The next thing that I'm working on is trying to figure out how to teach geometry in a more meaningful way for 5th grade. I have the Moving Beyond the Page curriculum, which does an excellent job of teaching geometry the traditional way, which is like, looking at shapes and learning about them and the actual math of it. I'm very interested in elaborating on the artistic nature of it in the Waldorf way. So this is a book that one of my friends gave me, and it has like all of the grades 1 through 8. So let's see, class 5 is on page 41. And so it has some of the things, but not as like colorful as what I'm looking for. This was really great. I was going to be doing fractions, but then we did a class with Lotus and Ivy and they did it. So this is kind of a reference that I've had. But what I really wanted was help with the art aspect. So I showed you guys before the other book I had of form drawing, which I feel like is not instructive enough for me. I got this book, Light, Shade, and Shadow. This is kind of for like 8th grade, I think. So not exactly related to math, but I've also been very convinced of the need for teaching different things relating to polarity, particularly with regard to literature. If you see that David Sloan book, he talks about that. And so when you're doing like charcoal or pencil drawings, that also focuses on this polarity of lightness and darkness. And apparently they had a Waldorf consultation on the first Star Wars movies made in the 70s. Anyway, so this is to help me with art instruction for 7th or 8th grade. Well, I'm going to have an 8th grader, but I think I might be teaching it late. I'm not sure. Actual math books, so mathematics in nature, space, and time. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this, but it looked really interesting. You can see these drawings are really cool. I'll have to obviously read through this. This is like a main lesson page, units of measures, what it says on the top. This is what I'm looking for, like how to draw these types of things. So it looks like this book has some helpful drawings. I look forward to looking through this further. So that is Mathematics in Nature, Space and Time by John Blackwood. Here's the back of that. Okay, so this is for older grades. And there was a lot of high school geometry too, which I didn't get, which is called like projecting geometry or something like that. This one was recommended by Pepper and Pine. She is an amazing Waldorf homeschooler. I am very in awe of her. And again, what I am looking for is like step 1, draw this, step 2, draw that. So I think this book has some of that. And I also got this digital curriculum like I was talking about, which has mandalas. So that might be helpful. Here's the back. Step-by-step instructions for all symmetries. It has ruler and compass instructions. Great. And then this is the last book for today. I do have another one coming that's called Waldorf Mathematics, but this is what I was really looking for form drawing. It's like these more advanced things. So I have a very artistic 7 and 10-year-old, and I was looking for further direction with what to do with them. So that is why I got this book. It is pricey. No matter where you get it from, there's no real discount on these types of books. But I think that this is a very useful tool that I will be using for a long time. So that's okay with me. And it's a very, very nice aesthetic book. So I will be looking through that and using it with my kids. Very excited to have that. And anyway, that's what I've got going on here. I'm kind of trying to figure out what we're doing and plan it as we go, but we've already started, so it's like we're in the middle of it. And then my daughter wanted me to show you this drawing that she made. So I have like a basket right here in the way, and that is her main lesson drawing from Tales of Ancient Egypt, which we just jumped right into as our Waldorf 5th grade main lesson. So anyway, that's what's going on. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. And I will just keep sharing with you guys my evolving thoughts and stuff like that. So thanks for watching. And if you like watching these videos and book hauls, please subscribe because I have a lot more stuff upcoming.